Okay, so without further ado, I'd love to welcome Kristen Tabar. She is the Group Vice President of Vehicle Development and Engineering at Toyota North America Research and Development. Sorry for chopping up your title there. And Kelly McCann, who is our Sales Manager for Professional Development Events. Many of you are familiar with Kelly. They're going to be doing an interview on the WCX Digital Summit. Thank you so much for joining, ladies, and let me know. I'll actually be monitoring the chat window, and we'll wait until the end of their interview to pose any questions for Kristen and Kelly. But in the meantime, go ahead and post those in the chat window, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, Angela. Yes, thank you, Kristen, for joining us today. I know you've got a long day ahead of you with SAE commitments this afternoon as well, so we certainly appreciate your time. So jumping right in, you are on the technical advisory group for WCX. So can you talk to our audience a little bit about why you volunteered and the work that you're doing on the technical advisory group?
Sure. Thank you again for having me. I think the technical advisory group, or TAG as we kind of call it, it was a really great opportunity to kind of work across with colleagues from various parts of the industry. And working together with SAE to bring some of the content of the upcoming World Congress next month. And, you know, primarily we've been really trying to come up with topics and sort of develop those in preparation for the afternoon sessions at the World Congress, which are the Leadership Summit. We've come up with 8 really great topics, and we've sort of been working through those, trying to understand what's relevant, not only from a technical perspective, but also from a business perspective, and then really try to bring together panelists for roundtable discussions on each of those themes that will really look at a wide view of perspectives on the issue. Again, not only the technical aspects of the content, but also kind of the business and also the customer perspective. You know, so we've got really interesting groups of panelists for each of the discussion, representing our kind of traditional business, our OEMs and our supply base, but also some new partnerships and also venture capitalists or finance and also customer facing. So it really brings a wide, diverse perspective to talk about some of these subjects that are really emerging for all of us.
Very good. Yes, and it looks like Angela did push out a link to the WCX site, so you can find more information for our audience on the Leadership Summit and the panels that Kristen had mentioned there. But moving forward, so SAE recently published 2 new books on moving innovation forward for both aerospace and ground vehicle. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about what Toyota is specifically doing to encourage that sharing within your organizational culture?
Yeah, innovation is super critical. Honestly, it's always been important, but I think now more than ever, as we're on that cusp of this transformation into mobility, moving away from just the narrowly defined automotive space into different products, different services. And so we're really trying to capitalize on our members, strong foundation in that area, but build out some of the ideas that maybe they're dreaming about for years and just haven't had the opportunity to bring to life. So we have a lot of things within Toyota to promote, honestly, just fundamental time to think about those and really foster that recognition of those ideas and try to pick up some of the best ones to pursue further. We're expanding our advanced development areas, our advanced research areas, really trying to promote that partnership with the development teams who maybe come up with a new idea or see a trend or hear things that are happening in other industries and figure out a way to bring those into our space, and then partner those with the expertise from our research side and really bring those ideas to life even faster. So we're getting ideas all of the time, and we're really trying to again, just recognize and support those members to give them some time to work on that, and also applications that will really benefit the customer and add value to our product from their perspective. So that's really important when we think about innovation. There's lots of great ideas out there, but if it's not something that we can put or package in a space that the customers can use it, it's a little bit tough. So we really got to kind of combine, again, that technical and business perspective when we're thinking about innovation.
Really remarkable idea being developed in Japan. So for those on this call or watching the recording, can you talk a little bit about where you are in the development of that concept?
Absolutely, it is really unique. It's an opportunity for us to actually try some of these new innovations, but in a real world environment, and really prove out that point that I just mentioned. How does it impact customers? Does it bring them value in their daily lives? Does it, integrate well and kind of support the community? So the Woven City, as you mentioned, it's an actual city in Japan. We broke ground already. It's being built now. It'll have, somewhere at the beginning, probably around 400 people living in the city, but it'll expand up to, over 2,000 at some point. And this, again, is sort of a real world test bed for some of these new technologies and new products and services. So it's really interesting that we've kind of designed the city around enabling these technologies and enabling the people who live in the city to participate in the use of these products and services in a really seamless way. So there'll be, for example, streets set up. There'll be normal automobile lanes, there'll be lanes for pedestrians, there'll be lanes for pedestrians with maybe personal mobility devices, and all of these things will kind of work together and interact with each other in real time, so that we understand how we can use these various mobility solutions and services to either benefit the community or perhaps not, and quickly move to those that do benefit the community. So this is just a great chance for us to bring these things to real world and get real feedback from actual users, as opposed to lab or simulation, and really see how these things interact with each other in that space. So again, it is sort of that, I guess I'll call it kind of that human-centered approach, where we're really trying to get feedback from the people using the technology to finalize and prove it out before kind of mass appeal.
Existing cities and the way that transportation is approached in in the world today, and it's a concept. I actually read an article yesterday, timely enough for this webinar, about New York City and just how COVID has impacted a lot of the street traffic and the need for more pedestrian and bike lanes and things of that nature. So it'll be interesting to see how the research that Toyota is doing with Woven City kind of impacts other cities around the globe.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. It's meant to be kind of an ideal model. Obviously, we're creating a city from scratch. On one of our sites that we actually used to have one of our manufacturing plants at the site. So, there is some infrastructure there, but we're certainly modifying it quite a bit. Again, trying to really look at how to do this in a smart way to take the most advantage of the technology for the members who live in the community, and really make it a win-win for both the technology, but also for the customer. So that's really how we're approaching it.
Oh, that's great. And interested to see how everything goes, and more to come from
Absolutely.
Yeah, so flipping back to WCX quickly, before we close out, is there anything that you want to share with the audience about what Toyota is currently doing with SAE to showcase the thought leadership and technology in the business of technology?
So we talked a little bit about the leadership series. I think that is, an important aspect for Toyota. I think the topics that are included there certainly are relevant to everyone in our industry. there's things from, connected technologies, autonomous driving, partnerships, all kinds of different subjects. So I really do feel like the themes are very relevant for everyone, and I'm really excited to hear how that aspect of the World Congress goes. I'm also, of course, really encouraged by the technical sessions. There's tons and tons of content that will be, each of the mornings, and so really interesting new technology and pursuing some of the, again, similar mobility technology space. Maybe one other thing, actually it's a little bit later today with SAE, we have a panel and it's on innovation. So again, similar to what we've been discussing, maybe the interesting thing is it does have a little bit of a twist. It's an all-female panel. So this is a panel sponsored by Toyota today. We're really proud of that. There are some amazing female leaders on the panel today that'll talk about, how they inspire innovation and how they've been able to actually move the needle to get some of the innovative technology out to the market and make it, very valuable and user-friendly for the customers. We've got people today on the panel, I think there's five ladies today from TrueCar, Bosch, Ford, some consulting, but also, of course, my biased favorite from Toyota. We have Jackie Birdsall, who's in charge of our fuel cell projects. So, these are amazing female leaders that really have made a true impact on mobility and really, again, move the needle for the communities that we serve and the customers that we serve, introducing these technologies. So I'm really excited to hear from them. Again, just a little bit later this morning. So I think all of those put together are just amazing amount of content and information for all of the SAE members. So I'm excited to hear from everybody.
I couldn't agree more. And thank you so much for volunteering your time for this morning's webinar this afternoon. We're very much looking forward to the women's panel. I don't know that there's any questions in the chat, but I will open it up to our audience. If you do have any questions for Kristen, please add them to the chat and we'll make sure they get answered.
I actually had a question.
Absolutely.
If that's okay. I don't believe you've covered this. I know you covered a lot of content, but I was curious, what goes into the panelist selection that you were talking about that's happening today?
Yeah, so actually very similarly to some of the leadership panel selection as well. We do have a group of people that we part of the TAG group. We try to identify those people that are experts in a technology space, a particular technology space. In the case of the Leadership Summit, depending on the theme. For today, it was really about innovation. So we were looking for, members who had direct impact on introducing technology or influencing the application or introduction of the technology, and really making those tough decisions about how to move forward, the speed of introduction, and how to make the technology usable and valuable for the customer. So again, we looked across the industry and tried to get a good cross-section, not only of, again, some of the traditional, OE or tier one supplier, but also maybe some less, I'll say less familiar partners or even new partners in spaces outside of our industry that definitely influence how customers think about the technology and the speed that we can get these things to market. Things like, again, around the financial space or even influencing customers' decision-making, things like some of the consumer publications or consumer representative teams and groups. So, there's just a really a lot of thoughtfulness put into looking across and trying to get that representation, that diversity of thinking around the theme or the topic, to really show that it is more than just our traditional businesses in this space. Mobility, if nothing else, really broadens who's included in the business now, which is a great thing because there's so many more ideas and so many more aspects to mobility. And we need to hear all those voices in the room to make sure we're making the right decisions and, again, delivering the right products and services.
I'm curious, so you talked about all of these broader topic scopes and trying to have that more cohesive approach. Is there a topic in particular that you're really excited about?
So the one topic, my roundtable that I'm in charge of for the leadership session is around autonomous driving. And I know there's a lot of discussion around autonomous driving. There's a lot of technical discussion about how to do it and, some of the challenges with it or some of the benefits that we'll have when we have it. I think those are all really important points to consider. But I also think it's important that we focus on the customer and really understand, how are they going to accept this technology? Do they understand the trajectory? Do they understand the benefit? Are they understanding some of the challenges and really kind of building that confidence of the customer? On the other hand, there's also, wanting to get to that ultimate state of really making the mobility products safer. So there's this kind of balancing act that we're trying to go through. And so we've assembled a roundtable for that leadership summit that looks at all those aspects, and we'll really try to drive at some of those key business decisions that we need to consider as we move forward with level 3 or level 4 and so on. And so I'm really excited to hear the different viewpoints from the panelists. And I think you'll hear, some that are ready to launch today and some that are like, well, wait, maybe we need to take a little more step-by-step approach. And so I think it'll be a good, healthy tension and healthy debate. And I think you'll hear a lot of good perspectives and points of view as each of us are trying to make those decisions at our own businesses.
For today's session at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Excellent.
So I encourage everybody to, definitely take a look at that link for the roundtable discussion that Kristen was just speaking more to. Now I know you already touched on the Woven City project. I don't see any other questions. Kelly, did you have anything else for Kristen?
Nope, just for the audience, WCX is April 13th through the 15th, and early bird rates do end on April 2nd. So go out, register, and we look forward to seeing you there. And thank you, Kristen, so much for your time today. We appreciate having you and all the insights that you provided.
You bet. Thank you so much for having me today. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak a little bit about World Congress and especially, highlight a bit about today's activity with these amazing women. So again, I also encourage everyone to tune into that. I think you'll get a lot of great insight from these tremendous leaders. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just wanted to also thank you, Kristen, for volunteering some of your time today. I really appreciate all of your insights and information.